Hello, this is a supplemental video. It's talking about how I might go about doing the critical reflection essay if it were me doing it. There's no one right way to do this assignment. Your ultimate goal is to show yourself as a thinker, to show yourself as somebody who knows what the rubric is, to show yourself, and the reason you need to know what the rubric is that's the written explanation of what your assigned audience wants. So, if a good writer is always writing to their audience, as Elbow tells us, and as common sense tells us, then we want to use whatever we can to know what they expect out of us. And for the English department, since we're writing to the English department, they've written their expectations out in a rubric. So that's why you need to know that rubric. And there was a video last week on the rubric. Let's see, here's the rubric. It says, please check me out and consider watching the video. Here's the video. If you haven't done those, please do. We're going to look at it a little bit this week. So this is my advice. We need to know, I'll put another copy of the rubric here. You're needing to prove that you knew what the audience wanted, so we're going to use the rubric. And we need to be very specific about your paper. Now I don't have your paper here, but I brought up some old papers. And I have them here, so we could use those. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down here and put up a rubric. Yay, there's a rubric. I'm going to slide it over to this side of the page. Then I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to pick up one of these essays. I think I want this one first. That's not an essay. Where'd it go? It's hard when I'm using a small screen over here. I had it all organized. Rubric, AMSTs. Okay, cool. So, we have the AMS and we have a rubric. And this is what we're looking at. Now, the rubric, if you haven't looked at it recently, tells you all the things they want. They want you to problematize an idea and remain mostly focused, develop a complex perspective, show a recognizable and significant thought process. That's top box. And provide evidence that you've critically read and you've reflected. So you've reflected on your ideas. Well, we can help show some of those in this assignment. So here we go. This is just a student's paper. If you haven't read it yet, it's a fine paper to check out. If you read the intro, it says, when we think about language, primary or secondary, it's not often that we see it as a limitation rather than a strength. In fact, increased fluency in language will often instill a sense of confidence in the speaker, allowing them to convey their thoughts in an eloquent manner in a way that's humble yet powerful. However, even though language can sometimes be wielded this way as a definite strength, there's one major drawback that all languages possess. No matter how proficient in language we become, our ability to understand the world will always be limited by the terminology that the language affords us. In other words, we cannot understand something if we do not have a word for which to process it. Okay. Well, first up, it looks like this person's trying to use a complex idea, right? And they're trying to problematize something. They say, yes, language can be wonderful, it can be powerful, and a lot of people only think of it in positive terms. However, it isn't all positive. That's him problematizing it. He also is working on the language of his audience. He has some higher end vocabulary here. But with every introduction you have, ask yourself, what was the purpose of the introduction? What does the audience of MMC English teachers expect? We know from the rubric they want focus, they want problematizing, they want complexity, they want a recognizable thought process. In this intro, where do we see focus? In your paper, where do you see focus? Here is probably, in other words, we cannot understand something if we don't have the word in which to process it. That's the thesis. So if you have a thesis, you can discuss how one of the things you knew that was important to your audience of MMCC English instructors was focus. And to make sure you had a focus, you created a thesis. Because expectations often at the end of the introduction, that's where you put it, but you're trying to be very specific and stay on that topic. You also knew that you were supposed to problematize something. So you chose to problematize how language can be seen all positively, but in fact it can limit you. You want to look at the rubric, like we did. Look at the rubric, see the things that they want, and then look at your essay and see where you gave them. So in sample 1, AMS, for use of CR number 1 explanation, what I've done is I've put questions along the side. Just specific questions that I would expect at each thing. What is the function of a transition? Does this one work? Why or why not? Is there only one function of language? Does this line simplify too much? I want you to look at every line of your paper, every paragraph, and stop and ask what function it does. Now over here, you have to say a lot about, I'm going to try to make sure I get this all in the box. You have to say a lot about sources. Now how you break this up is up to you. You're definitely going to want to discuss why you picked the sources you did. Why do you use sources in an academic essay? Is it to build your ethos, your credibility? Is it to bring in diverse perspectives? Again, the rubric tells you things they want that fit with this, but you have to explain how the sources that you picked did help your ethos, did help bring in multiple or a different, diverse perspective. And then literally, you have to label them. Then you have to talk about how you use them. For example, did you build credibility? How? And people that sent me drafts, I told them over and over and over again, please don't use article titles. Please don't use article titles to build credibility. It doesn't work. If a person wants to see the article title, they can look at the works cited, but for credibility, you need credentials. So how did you build credibility? Why did you do it that way? Was that the best way now you think about it? Would you do it that way again? Then, what did you do between the source's name and the quote? Why? We have lots of resources that tell you what you're supposed to do there, right? Over and over and over, I keep pushing this one at you. You have this top bun. You're supposed to introduce the source, build credibility using credentials, and explain in their words how they fit with your idea. Why are you supposed to do that? Because the rubric says that you need to show your significant thought process. So you need to, your thought has to come first. Your idea has to come first. And then you are explaining in your words how they fit with your idea. So your idea comes first. Then I say, did your efforts work? What did you do after the quotes? Did you use sources together in your paragraphs? This was a synthesis essay. What does synthesis mean? Why is it important to writing? Not one reason, not two reasons, 3 if you can, because you're trying to show yourself off as a deep thinker and as a person that understands how to write a paper. Why did you do it that way? Why did you connect sources the way that you did? Were there other ways you could have done it? If you were to do it again, how might you do it differently? Do you see what you're doing here? Even if you didn't get your AMS 1 perfect, you're showing that you know how to make it better next time. And that's why we're doing this essay. Side note, now that you reflect on it, you're going to see you have made some mistakes. But if you don't, here's my arm over here. It says error marks the place where learning begins. If you don't reflect on the errors that you made, you can't learn from them. So this is a chance to slow you down, to make you think of which choices you made, why you made them, and how you could make them better for next time. Because, surprise, we're writing another one of these. So this is supposed to be a learning tool. That's why we're doing it. All right. So I have a whole bunch of questions along the side for you to answer. Looking at this essay. The essay is a fine one to look at anyway, but this would give you an idea of one way you could start your essay, the sort of questions you need to answer. There's another one, because I'm a geek and I have lots of would it need this one? Yeah. This was the sample I put up last week, and I want to find the best way to use this. So I would like you to read it. I think reading sample essays is a way to steal dance moves. This person starts with a story. Did you start with a story? What's the benefit of starting with a story? What's the possible problems of starting with a story? Just discussing that choice of whether you started with a story or not, and why you think that's a good story, shows your thinking. It shows that you're aware of your audience, and you're trying to do something that's effective for your audience. Even if you get it wrong, at least you're trying. And this is a chance for you to give yourself credit for it. So the questions, I didn't put up questions yet on this one. So this one starts with a story. Da, 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 da. And it ends with a thesis. It doesn't end with a great thesis, by the way. So on this one, I'm going to put up different questions, because this is the second AMS used for. There's a different way of doing it. You could just ask yourself in every paragraph, what did you do here for your audience? How did it meet rubric expectations? What would you do differently? You can organize the paper different ways. You might go by the rubric and explain where in your paper you did each of the things in the rubric. You might go by paragraph of your paper. Make sure you hit all the boxes of the rubric somewhere in your discussion, but your organization strategy might be that. You might be reflective, and you might start on your first idea, your first choice. What choices did you make first, and go through the whole paper and end with revisions. Which organization you use to get out your information, that's up to you. The important thing, however, is one to figure out which organization strategy you're going to go with and stick with it. But make sure as you do that you talk about audience, their expectations, specifically using rubric terms to show that you were making decisions, you knew why you were making the decisions, and I love you. If you weren't thinking of your audience and you weren't making decisions wisely, just state that. Explain that. Oops. I sort of blew it on this one. I wasn't thinking of my audience like I should have been, so now I know for next time this is what I'm going to do. That's okay. That's showing learning. That's showing you're a good student. It's when you don't realize that you blew it that it's sort of a problem. So this isn't just like a cover letter where you're trying to sell yourself as all good, all good, all good. You did some good things, hopefully more good than bad. You made some mistakes. It's okay. You can learn from them. So I would talk about how you're going to learn from them. Organize how you want. But you could literally go through each one of these things, and as they come up, so this one, in the body. In your body, what was your plan? Why organize that way? Remember, audience. Why choose those sources? Why use them the way you did? What did you do in your body and why? What here helped show you were a deep thinker and were considering audience? Well, I'm running out of time right now, so I'm going to stop here. But if you need any help, more help with this, come into the WRC, come into my office, send me messages, visit, send me drafts. I'm here to help you. I really want to help. Let me. Okay, that's all for now.